Everybody loves Bootu, boys.
It's true.
That's this podcast. It's about TV shows when we talk about them. I'm Brian Vaughn. I chose Everybody Loves Raymond, a show we're covering for the second time.
Oh, we're going to do that where you blame yourself?
Yeah.
This is your fault?
I feel shame. Great shame.
His fault.
With me are these fellas you hear. Spencer Hendricks.
Yep, that was me playing piano too.
Yeah, of the three of us, you'd be the most likely to be doing that. You can play piano. Van Lee is the other person.
That was me on tambourine. You know,
I'd buy that too. It's
Raymond
the tambourine. So, yeah, we're all here. We just played the Everybody Loves Raymond themed intro live.
That's what we
in
do.
Studio.
Yeah.
No, we do that with every song. Why are we talking about
We're
this?
studio
This is
musicians
commonplace.
first, podcasters second.
But speaking of being podcasters, it should be noted, as anyone can see as they're looking at the episode details here, we're sort of veterans now.
Right.
We've been around.
Over 100.
Do you guys feel kind of like wizened? Kind of like you needed to dispense advice to people, maybe?
Strangely, I feel exactly the way I did when we did our 99th episode. I don't know why that would be.
I think that's good. You're staying youthful. You're just as young now as you were whenever you did our 99th episode.
Yeah, I feel like it was like an hour ago. Don't put that in there. We don't need to go that specific.
Oh, it's going in there.
Fine, put it all in there.
Fine, we record these two at a time because we're busy.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes weeks in advance.
No, you know what else? It's because we're super organized and we want to make sure we have new stuff out all the time.
Efficiency is the name of the podcasting game.
Yeah, and we are all over the place a bit more now. We're on YouTube now, thanks to Van.
Right.
Bootuinc.com. That's bootuinc.com. We've been updating that more. We're putting episode capsules up there with fun details. And they are fun details.
And you know what, guys? We are now in the second century of our show.
It's true.
This is episode 101. I thought, what better way to commemorate this than for me to give you a present?
Oh, great. Is it a can of slop?
No,
Like in previous episodes?
It's not that this time. Actually, you might like this. You might hate this. We'll see what your reaction is. You mentioned several episodes ago that you wanted a toy of every episode we covered.
That would be amazing.
One of the shows we recently covered was just basically an advertisement for toys. I happened to come across some toys of that show in the dollar store today. I'm going to hand these out one at a time.
This could be amazing.
Spencer?
Yes.
As you love Mastodon and Black, you get the Black Power Ranger.
Oh, yeah.
This is awesome. It is absolutely just what he said it was.
I wanted the black one, but I couldn't do that.
Oh, I love it. Ranger Noir, it says.
I instead went with the Dragon Zord. So I got the Green Ranger.
No, I hate it. I like my black one.
And for Brian, he's the leader. He loved Jason, the leader, so much. He
I
gets
don't remember
the Red Ranger.
that at all. Oh, no. I hate him, but he has to go up in my room now.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm going to put this by the Chuck Norris water bottle for sure.
You should.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate these tiny little Rangers. Are these to scale?
Yes. This is how big they were in the show. Believe it
No,
or not.
these are the size of the putties.
Oh.
But they're not saying whoop as a putty would.
Mine says Ranger Vert. What language is Vert green?
It's all like that, right? Verde or
Verde is
Vert
Spanish.
Yeah.
Maybe it's French?
It might be French
Yeah,
because
it's
mine
French.
says Ranger Rouge.
It's
so
French
yeah,
because
French.
Noir is absolutely black, which
Right.
I've got the Black Ranger.
Ranger Rouge. That sounds interesting. What was Ranger Rick? What was that? A magazine for kids when
I
we
think
were
so.
kids?
I think you're right.
No.
Told you about nature?
That's Yogi. That's the Ranger.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe you're right.
What's this Ranger magazine in
There
my
was
head?
a
Is it-
Ranger magazine
What?
from our
Yeah,
kids.
Now I need to know about
there's- Somebody look that up. There's a Ranger magazine that it's the kind of magazine that you would see if you were at your pediatrician's office and you're a kid getting ready to have some sort of appointment. You also see highlights for kids,
Oh,
two
shit.
books.
It's just straight up called Ranger Rick.
Oh, wow. So it's both.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, yeah, he tells you about wildlife, Ranger Rick, from Yogi Bear.
I think I'm Year of the Rat in the Chinese years, for
Yeah,
your
I am
birthday.
too.
So, okay, you would be.
So I guess I'd be different, but I don't know.
You're
what
probably
mine
the
is.
dragon or the
Look it up.
monkey.
I think it's some animal I don't like, but I don't know.
Got to be the dragon, monkey, rat, or whatever the fourth one is.
I really
Oh, there are only four?
appreciated
I think
being
there's
the
only
rat.
four.
It felt right. It felt homey. Just knowing that I was a rat.
Is it because you think you're very...
hairy?
I was going to say more like scheming.
Big, thick rope of
Like
a
you're up
tail.
to something and can't be trusted.
Yeah, and dirty, live in the sewer.
Mine is Year of the Ox.
You're an ox.
Whoa.
I don't care for that.
That's
I don't really
I
think
don't
you're an
know.
ox.
They're just bulky and dumb, and they just do
John
work.
Henry's around, or Paul Bunyan, or whoever. You're like Babe the Blue Ox.
None of us got the
Yeah.
dragon, which is fitting. We don't. That's like a alpha personality. I feel
Mhm.
like dragon's like the
Yeah.
Chad sort of thing, and we're not that.
That's why I feel more like a rat. Like
Yeah.
in battle, I would bite a toe or something.
I would run away first and then bite toes if they caught me.
I would spread so much plague.
That's like the best way to make yourself sound as cowardly as possible. Run first and then use backhanded tactics. That's what I teach my kids.
I think that's the only way to go. You have to have them trained in a variety of fighting styles.
What tactics do you think Ray and Robert use in their fights?
Oh.
CQC.
Krav passive aggression probably is the most likely kind.
Crane.
An actual style.
Gee, Raymond, I'm doing this crane stance.
He'd be apologetic about it, but also
Yeah.
somehow good at it.
You know, the crane stance requires one foot to be up in the air. That Brad Garrett foot would still be taller than anyone standing in front of it.
Okay, here's the thing. Brad Garrett is like Dauber with more brains, but not as menacing because he's so a gentle
Right,
giant.
he's too nice.
Whereas Dauber is dumb and chaotic in that regard. Who
Yeah.
wins in a fight?
Dauber.
You
I think
so?
Dauber's got a lot more bulk on him, and he seems like I think Dauber, if he wanted to, could be dangerous. Brad Garrett, he couldn't hurt a fly, as they
Okay.
say.
I buy that.
I think I agree because Dauber also ex-football star.
Right. He'd just bring him down with the pile driver, which is what
Now,
football players use to tackle.
Robert Barone, he's a cop, but he is a reluctant cop who really only is one to prove his masculinity to his father.
Ah,
Oh yeah, so it's like John Cena being a bull in that animated film where he's a bull, but he doesn't really want to use his force.
Also, it could be like John Cena because I've seen his dad, and his dad's jacked.
I didn't know that.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I remember this.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I kind of
Huh.
think maybe John Cena was like, oh shit. Well, if he looks like that, I'd better beat The Undertaker.
I guess that is true. If your dad is ripped, you kind of feel like, well, I mean, I have no choice now. I'm
Yeah.
going to look like a loser.
That's why when my dad was eating ice cream watching Star Wars, I was like, I can do this. I got this. This is right up my alley. We're going to talk about Everybody Loves Raymond again.
We tried a little bit.
Season 8, it's episode 21. It's called The Model. It's not any of the characters you might have suspected who gets a modeling offer. It's Brad Garrett.
I expect
Yeah,
this.
me too. It's Bad Brad. We have added one character I'll mention, and that is Brad Garrett's, well, not Robert's, I guess, wife, Amy, who's played by Monica Horan, or Horan. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. She is Philip Rosenthal, the showrunner's wife.
I fucking hate that. So much nepotism, and I don't know anything about her.
I don't
She's
either.
maybe
For
fine.
all I know, like I didn't look too much into her filmography. She may have been a reliable actor, and this makes a lot of sense. She's fine.
Yeah,
He's fine.
I just don't like that.
Yeah.
She's got a real gimmicky sort of personality anyway, so she just does that thing that she does in this episode, I'm assuming, the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much. Just being a loving wife to Robert, although they do break up several times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's at first in the show as Deborah's friend. And then she gets with Robert, they date and break up. At one point, Robert fucking cheats on her.
Ooh.
That son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought they would have his character do that.
Are you guys sensing a pattern between the episode we covered last week and some
Yeah.
of the stuff I'm saying? They do some stuff where it's like mean.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I applaud them from trying.
Yeah.
Especially if
shouldn't-
they accomplish anything with it, but
they
they didn't
shouldn't have-
last time.
Shouldn't have used Robert for it. They
No,
should have
I
had
agree.
they should have had Ray be the cheater.
Yeah.
They're married at this point. I think I mentioned that. Robert and Amy. They're in a newer marriage than Ray and Deborah, so there's a lot of teasing about that from Robert. The kind of like, we have a hot, passionate young marriage, Raymond.
And you hate each other. Yeah, we kind of do. Everyone on this show sucks.
Fun fact that at least Van and I have discussed while not microphoning, that Amy's parents are played in the show by Fred Willard and by Georgia Ingle, who was Georgette in her youth on the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
I think that's probably great. Fred Willard's amazing.
Yeah.
Love Fred Willard.
No,
and
they were
Georgette was
good.
great. So yeah.
Also, Amy's brother is played by Chris Elliott.
Okay, I like
Wow.
that too. I
Yeah.
like Chris Elliott.
Interesting.
Yeah. Again, like a lot of their guest actors were good.
You
Kevin
mean-
James.
I-
Have I told you guys yet, or have I even mentioned that Kevin James was a writer on Everybody Loves Raymond?
Oh, that's how it started.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And a stand-up, of course.
It's weird that he was working on this show with people you hate, and then he said, I'll create a show where every character fucking sucks outside of Patton
He said,
Oswalt.
you know what? I might be able to do worse.
Raymond's getting weary.
That's really the only big change here as far as what's different in Everybody Loves Raymond. Even though this is 5 years later, the show at this point is close to wrapping up. It has one more season, and it's just past it's like season 4 through 7 run where it was like a top 10 show.
So there are 9 total seasons. You know how many episodes?
210.
Hmm.
I could have said 4,000 and you would have been like, yeah, that's kind of what they were doing then. I mean, this one starts out, get this, in a kitchen.
A hideous kitchen.
Yeah, and it's a different one, though. This is Ray and Deborah's hideous kitchen. And it is. It's kind of gross looking. Of the time, and kind of that sort of middle-aged kitsch styling to a degree of the time. So, again, I think it's not that it doesn't work. It's just that it almost is too obnoxiously ugly to look at.
So this is season 8, and the first one was season 3, so we're looking like 5 years difference for the characters.
Yeah, this episode is, it's from 2004. In this kitchen scenario, Brad Garrett's got a big armful, and for him even, sack full of Chinese food, and I wanted it. But he does notify everyone, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I am King Kong and ate all of the egg rolls in the car.
That was actually a good delivery, too. Is like, you're going to wish you ordered more egg rolls, Ray. Why? Because I ate them all.
They are late, though, and it's not because the restaurant did anything wrong. It's for the least plausible reason you might think, which is a modeling agent approached Robert and said, my boy, you have something here. Look at you. Look at the mug on this tall drink of water.
He says, like, the guy told him he had an interesting look. Or
and
whatever.
He does.
I was going to say, to be fair, he does.
I'd buy that.
I don't know about model looks, but he does have an interesting look.
The show does, I think, plausibly explain why he could believe he would be a model.
I bought it 100%.
His reaction, a little outsized, but it's a comedy, right? All the women in the room are very encouraging. Amy, of course, thinks Brad Garrett's super hot. She married him. And Deborah's always really encouraging to Robert.
She seems nice.
Yeah. She is always tired and harried because her husband sucks.
Yeah.
She can be a little one note at times, but I think Patricia Heaton does fine with her. I've always liked the kind of, I guess, secondary relationships in this show almost better than the primary ones. I like that Deborah and Robert support each other. I like that Frank's nice to Deborah, that kind of stuff, because the obvious relationships in the show are boring.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and we're going to see a lot of Robert and Raymond, and of course, they have the kind of brotherly banter relationship, and that's fine. But with so much just spitefulness, like anytime any character says anything at all, someone is there to be like, you're stupid for thinking that.
You should never allow hope.
So it's nice that Deborah, or sometimes some characters will be like, oh, that's wonderful.
I did think that it was a little bit on the awkward side. She says it very innocently, but when Robert's talking about how he's a model and he's there, his wife's there, his brother and his brother's wife there, and his brother's wife tells Robert, I always thought you were handsome. It's just it's a little weird. I know she just meant like, sure, you can be a model. You can do anything, Robert. But in a way, it's kind of like in front of the whole family. Yeah, your brother's fucking hot, Ray.
Yeah, Robert's the attractive one, Ray. You need to get it together. That would be what Raymond would say.
Oh, no, I understood it.
Raymond is not encouraging. In fact, he's very mean. He does not like this at all. He does usually not like when Robert gets attention.
And to be fair, though, in this case, your brother's Brad Garrett, and he said, I'm going to become a model. You would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So this is where you can see a little bit of the Marsha Jan stuff more clearly between Ray and Robert. Only the difference here is that unlike Marsha, who's the preferred, more successful on paper of the siblings, Ray also is a jealous little baby. And I do like that. I do like that neither one of them is remotely secure, as you would not be if your parents were Frank and Marie.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure.
And we, of course, also did squeeze in a little bit of a joke here, which boils down to the marriage sucks for everyone, because Amy and Robert kiss, and they're like, hey, maybe you could kiss Raymond and Deirdre? Deborah.
Tried to make it more interesting there.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm like, Robert, are you saying that you both couples should just be your brothers making out in the same room with your wives?
It's
hot,
like
Brian.
the Seinfeld episode where the Jerry and George are out kissing each other's girlfriend, like not each other's girlfriends, but they're doing a double date, and then they both get increasingly aggressive with their kisses because they're outdoing each other.
Yeah, are people out there being, let's go out and kiss people together tonight? Do you want to go out kissing? Not each other, like find people and kiss them at the same time.
That does kind of sound like a 1940s, like you get the guys together and let's go out kissing.
Kissing
hunting
party.
Some kisses.
It's the world's most polite and clean orgy. We all kiss in the same room. We don't put keys in any bowl or anything. There are snacks, though.
No one smiles.
The snacks are to be eaten after the kissing. We don't want anything in our teeth for the kissing. After this little scene and that stupid kiss joke that Van mentioned, we go to the William Dennison Modeling Agency.
Which is totally legit. I bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Oh, yeah. Robert's here in a suit, and he's looking pretty good, guys.
A little nervous.
Yeah, he's nervous. He's in like one of those business park suite offices, kind of like what the show The American The Office takes place in.
Mhm.
That's where this modeling agency is. Robert walks up to the desk to address the woman working and tell her that he's there, and tries to go by the name Bobby Barone at first to sound cooler. The woman totally no-sells it, says, what? And he has to say Robert. Brad Garrett's still likable in these kinds of moments, I think. He spends a little time after he sits down in the waiting room, realizing that he extends 4 feet past the men sitting beside him, the younger models, so he slouches down, kind of to appear shorter and more relaxed, and act cool by them.
I do feel like I'm kind of surprised I haven't been attacked much this episode, because a lot of the early jokes are about how tall he is, and I don't know, you guys have been good this whole time.
Again, Robert's likable. Robert is tall and likable. In the show, Raymond is a nasal talking 5'11" guy.
Yeah. Who are we going to like more? Okay.
And that's sort of my thing. So yeah, exactly. You
know,
lucked out here.
I haven't even had an Apple podcast review calling me out for my voice yet. So
No, I thought it was a compliment though.
Sure, Brian. Sure, Jan.
Podcast.
We're going to get several reviews of people being like, you sound like a fucking dipshit just on
You
iTunes.
sound like Brad Garrett.
At least make them 5-star.
Yeah, we don't really care. Again, like, I love it. We got 5-star reviews.
You know what they're going to say is, you sound like a fucking dipshit. Also, I have a piranha's head tattoo.
Good.
If anyone out there goes and gives us a 5-star review,
we'll get a
and
piranha's
has a
head
piranha's
tattoo.
head tattoo, I will get a piranha's head tattoo. and
I'm just
not
going to do
joking.
that anyway, though.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get one.
Matching.
Although I don't think I'll
Matching
get
piranha's
piranha's
head
head.
tattoos.
I think I have to get, what was it, Porky Pig? What's it?
Pudgy Pig.
Pudgy
Yeah, Pudgy
Pig.
Pig.
Yeah.
Porky Pig is taken, that
Yeah.
trademarked.
Means Van has to get Goldar, probably.
That's fine. What is Porky Pig?
He's a Looney Tune, isn't he?
Yeah, but why is that funny? He has a stutter?
At the end, yes, he has a stutter, which, as everyone knows,
It's hilarious.
is so funny. And then his other big thing is he likes to tell folks it's all.
That's it. That's his
When
thing.
things are
That's
done.
it. We covered it.
Yeah, and we're forgetting one important thing, which the guy doesn't like pants. He's another top halfer.
But
You know
also
what I
no
mean?
shirt. He's just got like a sport
vest?
coat or something.
He might have a
Yeah,
vest.
with a
Sometimes
bow
he
tie.
might have a shirt, but he never has pants.
He has gotten laid because there is Hampton and Tiny Toons.
Yeah, you're right.
Why do you guys know so much about Porky Pig?
We watched it, or we talked. I remember talking about some of this stuff at bowling when we were little
Yeah.
kids. That we had seen a lot of these cartoons. Porky Pig, he's had sex. He has children.
Yep.
Huh. Where does it go? Because we don't ever see it.
Well, what do you think the little curly tail does?
Oh.
You think it's a dual tail / Porky Pecker?
Well, you know how like birds have cloacas, which just do all sorts of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Same thing with pigtails.
With pigs, they have tails that... You heard it here first on Bootu Boys.
As we talk, Everybody Loves Raymond.
Uh-huh. Get railed by a pigtail. I'm sorry.
So anyway, Brad Garrett's cloaca.
I passed a billboard the other day that said, hogs for dogs.
What does that mean?
I'll give it a try.
So I got to thinking about it. The dog had sunglasses on the
so
billboard.
It's cool.
No, the billboard rules. But I think it's some sort of like you buy a motorcycle and part of it
That
goes
kind
to
of
help
hog.
dogs or something.
Oh,
or maybe
okay.
to help
Well,
another.
I thought it was saying try, and why get a dog? Try a hog. And I
Or-
was going to do it.
Trade in your dog
Trade
for
your
a
dog
hog.
for a hog.
or get your dog a pet hog. Hogs for dogs.
Dogs need pets too.
Oh yeah, so Robert's in the modeling office, and he, after a little bit of waiting, he gets called in to talk to Mr. Dennison, William Dennison, the guy who discovered him. I will let you guys know, I zoomed in, I did my best. The resolution was not good enough for me to tell what magazines those guys were reading.
Oh, too
I
bad.
wanted to know so bad if it was Ranger Rick or Highlights for Kids
It's got to be one of the two.
or Zoo Books.
Like, what is Goofus and Gallant doing?
One of them's good and one of them's bad. Which one are you?
Putting that in there in like in an adults modeling agency too would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And highlights.
It actually would be a good joke if you're going for the models are really daft
Yeah.
or whatever. But I mean, that's kind of a stereotype. I'm sure there are plenty of very intelligent models. Just like there are a lot of dumb, ugly people. Hi, my name's Brian Vaughn. I'm on Bootu Boys.
Yeah, the Bootu Boys has that covered.
Dumb and ugly. If that's your thing, this is the place to be.
There's a reason we're on the podcast situation. Like we're not in TV.
Imagine we are but a trio of Adonises.
You'll never know any different.
Imagine we all look like Brad Garrett. That's fine.
Bunch of 6'9" weirdos.
Once he gets in the office, Robert's super nervous. He tries to be self-deprecating and stuff, but Dennison actually cuts him off and says, you don't need to make fun of yourself. I'm not looking for a cover model. You could be kind of in action shots representing headache medicines, which apparently Robert focuses on more than all of the other things that are said.
Really drawn to that.
Or other sorts of like cars, other sorts of products. When you think model, it doesn't necessarily mean you're Tyra Banks or something.
Yeah, we need normal people models.
How you mentioned he goes in there and he's a little bit nervous about how he might change his mind. He mentioned something like that was Chinese restaurant lighting, something like that. You know what that reminded me of? The Two-Face phenomenon in the Seinfeld episode, where I think Elaine gets it at the end, and several Jerry has a girl I think that he sees that's like that, where they look different based on different lightings. It reminded me exactly of that Seinfeld episode.
And you know what? This is, again, a comedy starring a stand-up comedian in the 90s from Queens, so he probably just was like, let's kind of play off that.
Maybe Seinfeld stole it. No, it would have been before that. Never mind. Plus, Seinfeld's better.
It's at this point that...
No.
It's at this point that Brad Garrett reveals he's 19 feet tall, and Dennison's like, I don't care, like, some people are. We need models for that. And look, I'm not telling you you will book any jobs, but a print job could pay you a couple thousand, and we have models who make like 100, 150,000 a year. At this point, Robert immediately agrees. He's like, I'm on board. And did anyone do it? I forgot to do it.
The money?
Yeah.
No, I didn't either. 2004.
It's probably just like double.
Yeah, it's not as huge as some of our older ones.
Yeah, but
bunch of money.
I mean, even as it stands, that sounds like a ton of money to anyone in this room.
And the guy, by the way, is Steve from Married with Children. That's who's the talent agency guy.
He looks sort of like vaguely familiar to me, but I don't know if I even knew him from that, honestly.
I thought he was pretty convincing. And
he was good.
Totally legitimate business.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of these shows that have a stand-up and then a cast of like stage actors and television regulars, film actors in some cases, is you can attract better guest stars too.
Yeah.
Like you round out your cast really well, even if, again, the script is lacking. After Robert agrees, he somehow seems to get more nervous or something and starts making weird offers. And here's a joke about the Jolly Green Giant, I guess.
Oh, and hey, let them know I'm not afraid to go green.
Excuse me?
Go green. In case they want me to sell vegetables.
I would like to take a moment to apologize to Van.
It's a laugh track. It has to be.
That's ridiculous.
It's absurd.
It was
the
funny.
ones you played in the last episode.
You guys didn't see the pose just now.
Okay, the pose was funny.
It was good.
Brad Garrett, imagine him, legs splayed, hands on hips.
It's
Closed.
funny. I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Just like the laugh track did.
For 30 seconds.
He also offers to become Wolf Blitzer, work for CNN or something. Dennison's like, shut up, stop all this. Like, you're just going to be in a magazine. I don't know what you're doing.
He's being rude. I think Brad Garrett's got some real ideas here, and he's shutting him down. Not even giving him a chance.
No, he's not.
It was James Earl Jones. He used to do the CNN. This is CNN. That's what that is.
Oh, fuck. That's a good joke. Yeah. No, it is.
Pretty good. Because he's
Brad
got that
Garrett
deep voice.
is today's James Earl Jones. If there's a Sandlot remake, I want kids to hit a ball into Brad Garrett's backyard.
With his big, gnarly dog.
Yeah.
Who's like good at heart, but scary.
Exactly. It's very slobbery, though. That was actually the thing that bothered me
That was
most
the worst
as a kid.
part of it.
Yeah.
Ruined those baseballs while it spit.
I know, but good thing they have this signed one from the 27 Yankees.
I've been thinking about trading that dog out for a hog.
It's a crossroads every man comes to at some point.
So then they hit the baseball over the fence, and it rolls up, and you just hear, and they're too afraid.
Wait, there's just a motorcycle in the yard doing its business that gets a pet like a dog would be.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It rooms around, it takes a nap in its motorcycle house.
Well, if it were a pig, what would it do? Just like sniffing for truffles? I know what pigs do.
The motorcycle
They're cool.
dips its little headlight into its water bowl, starts lapping it up.
It's oil.
This probably happens in Cars 4s.
With Nader.
Sure, Ralph Nader.
That is actually-
he's one of the main cars.
Is it Mater? I think it's Mater.
It's Mater. It's
What?
the Larry the Cable Guy tow truck. and it's got big teeth, and he's like, I'm Larry the Cable Guy, and I fucked a goat. And it's in the Cars stuff.
There's apparently stuff I do not know about the Cars franchise.
And Spencer and I do.
I think that's the very first one, isn't it?
I think he's in several.
Well, I mean, he's introduced immediately, though, in the franchise. Because I didn't get that deep into the Cars franchise, but I did watch the
You
first
didn't climb all the way in.
No.
Well, one time when I was at the theater, we had a problem with the projector, so I ended up
Watching Cars.
Well, it was like 6 hours of me working on this thing, and I was looping Cars, whatever movie was on at the time, trying to get it to work. So I ended up accidentally seeing a ton of this movie.
I thought you were going to say, I was thinking about what I drove to work in. I know what I'll watch.
Oh, but also there's like a fan thing out there where fans of the Cars series are like adamant that Cars 3, I think, it's too much. The first 2 Cars were great, but then in 3, it's just Hollywood getting his fingers in it.
Really
that
jumped
sort of
the
thing.
shark.
That's amazing that you can do that even in that franchise.
I do think it's kind of funny when that happens in superhero franchises too. It's like
It had so much heart at first.
this was exactly the same, but maybe like one scene worse, and you've gone from A to F on what your opinion of it. Like this is all sea stuff, guys, not stuff in the ocean.
Right, like Poseidon.
Although I guess Waterman or
Waterman.
Yep, the famous superhero Waterman.
His power,
Aquaman.
his power is just being underwater. What he does.
we're all that. We all made of it.
No, I don't think his power is even that. I think his power is he's just in water often.
Or he just likes water.
He likes
He can't
to
go
swim.
under. Yeah. He's that old man from Baywatch
He
that
likes
got the
baths.
eel.
Oh, Jonah.
Yeah, Jonah.
Yeah, don't worry
Old
about old
man
Jonah.
Jonah.
He's fine. Brad Garrett is not done in this office, though. Mr. Dennison says, first things first, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You need to get some headshots done. You need to get a portfolio. Real casually, I'm going to mention, you can go find a photographer, but we got an in-house guy if you just want to do that. It's a lot easier, and we can get you in some jobs sooner. Robert casually agrees to the latter, thinking nothing of it, and then impersonates Tony the Tiger.
By the way, the Tony the Tiger guy was named Thurl Ravenscroft. That was his name. And he was also the person who sang that Mr. Grinch song.
Mhm.
I think I brought this up on the podcast. This exact thing.
I could see that.
I might be wrong, but I think I came across the name Thurl Ravenscroft. Or maybe I just texted you about it.
Great name.
Yeah.
I
It's amazing.
feel like we didn't cover that, but it's possible. And if we did, we're just reiterating that amazing information.
This could have been some private, thorough conversation between Van and I.
Which happens.
Every now and then. We call him Raven's conversation. I didn't get there.
No, and
Yeah. I admitted it at least. I can do that.
I don't.
You know who can't do that? The characters in the sitcom Everybody
No.
Loves Raymond.
This is, by the way, another instance of me saying in my notes, the laugh track continues to make the show utterly unbearable.
It
It's
makes
too
it
much.
worse. It makes the show worse. Back at Ray and Deborah's house, we're in the living room as the sad Barone family is really, really zoned out, pretending that they don't exist. They're kind of watching TV in a haze. Deborah is fiddling with something.
What's a bassoon?
big
Like a
old,
big old
woodwind.
Are they like
Woodwind.
broop, broop, they're
Yeah.
deep?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would fit because I thought you said the bassoon family, and I was like, well, wait a minute, that would be a fitting instrument for this shitty family,
Yeah, especially
Brad Garrett.
Yeah, he sounds
Yeah,
like a
he
bassoon.
is a bassoon.
Well, right around now, you should hear a bassoon sound because Robert and Amy come in. Well, Amy comes in first and says, "You guys will not believe this. My husband is a model. He's about to come in. Your heads will turn." Then Robert comes in the longest red button-down shirt I've ever seen. This weird-ass leather jacket that has a bunch of like triangles with the collar popped, and then like cargo pants, and it's all too big for him. And that where did he buy this?
So hold on. Was the shirt earlier tucked in perhaps and he just untucked it after he was done with his photo shoot or whatever?
I don't think so because
Possibly.
he was in a suit there. But then again,
He might have changed for the photo shoot though, right?
But it was
maybe.
in-house. I feel like he goes into that other room and just gets his photo taken.
Yeah, 'cause he didn't have a
later in the
briefcase or
episode, when the place is abandoned, spoiler alert, he goes into that photo room and he's like, "This is where they took my picture."
Okay. Well, I just thought there must have been some reason why that shirt was so long. Otherwise, he's got the leather jacket. And it's been a long time since we talked about whether or not can he pull off a leather
About
jacket.
100 episodes it's been.
I feel like he could though. And
Yes.
it's just that red shirt that's
It's-
like a gown underneath it.
Yes,
That's the
and
problem.
it's that kind of red that was popular around the 2000s that's just red.
Fire
Like,
engine.
he needs a more subtle color, and I think the jacket needs it all needs to fit him better, too.
These look like clothes they made for a statue.
Well, yeah, how could it be too long for Brad Garrett?
Exactly.
I think they were like maternity clothes for Godzilla. Like that. Yeah. How do you get a 6'9" guy and you're like, oh, this is too long? Yeah.
I can tell you, and I'm only 6'4", you cannot find clothes that are long enough at all.
I guess this was an order sent to Shaq that got intercepted.
Even that's only like a couple inches difference, weirdly.
It's not that much.
Yeah.
That's wild to think about how close Shaq and Brad Garrett are in a lot of categories.
Brad Garrett can ball, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably better at free throws.
He's got a
He might be.
post presence.
He might be so uncoordinated that despite his height, he can't dunk. Although he might just be able to reach up and do it. I just can't see
Yeah.
him
Dip it
jumping
in.
well.
I could see him doing like a mascot, though, and doing a backflip off a trampoline and dunking. At least in his younger years.
Also, I just realized bassoon, bass, of course it's deep,
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
And soon,
which is not later.
you hear it now.
Well, I guess it could be later.
You don't have to wait. You can hear the bassoon right away. It's not on delay.
Well, I don't know about right away. I think it may be delayed, but it's not delayed long. It's soon.
It appears non-delayed to us because the sound travels so quickly.
Right.
Science.
Speed of sound.
Amy updates everybody in the room. Robert just got done with this photo session with Herbert. They're going to send him out right away. He is so hot. Deborah is delighted by this too because she thinks Robert's hot too.
Right.
Deborah and Ray's daughter was, I guess, let out of her cage or something. And she questions why Robert is standing really weird. And Ray makes a joke that's not funny, that his
No.
underwear is
Excuse
tight.
Excuse me? I laughed as hard as the audience did, which is for 45
Yeah.
seconds.
Underwear and oh crap. You can just say those two things in this show, and it's apparently funny. And Deborah reiterates, I have always said it, Robert. You're a looker.
You're hot.
At this point, the oldest of the Barones, by a wide margin, Frank and Marie wander in slowly. Their only speed, kind of like moths, because they saw a light on across the street. That's what they say. They're like, we saw your light was on. That means we can enter your home.
Let's bang into your light bulb a couple of times.
We're nude and sort of smell weird. Well,
Also, I hate this woman.
as one might guess, all of the Robert modeling stuff is something Frank takes as a joke and Marie is enthusiastic about. She even goes so far as to say, Robert, you were a hot baby. Like, you were a really good-looking baby.
Well, because he was like human size when he was a baby. He was like a
Right.
man.
Everybody was like, what a good-looking little 10-year-old you got. And she was like, he's a newborn. I hurt every day. Frank disagrees with Marie, though. He says, nope, my kids are ugly. I don't like them. And Raymond says, yeah, he is. I hate my brother. He's ugly and stupid.
This is all almost absolutely correct.
Raymond does say, I guess he has a character face, which is exactly what Brad Garrett does have. Robert, at this point, mentions how much money he could make by modeling. This leads to maybe the worst joke, or the joke I hated the most, where Robert says, I could represent a major aspiring company, and Raymond says, major ass.
Ooh, that was bad.
Just absolutely horrible. But Frank and Ray are having a lot of fun making fun of Robert, while the women try to say, he is a person. Why do you treat someone you love like this? I hated some of this, but I have to say what follows is one of my favorite parts, which is one of Marie's clueless moments. I love them, where she tries to get Robert to set up Raymond with a meeting with Mr. Dennison to also become a model, which is such a just, why would you be doing that unless you just didn't even understand what was going on?
It's a mom-grandma thing. Like,
Yeah.
my mom was always like, oh, you're so good at drawing, you should be an artist. No, I can doodle a duck. I can't be an artist. It's the
Yeah, they do that.
misunderstanding.
Yeah, they do that sort of thing. The goal here is for all the Barones to become one big family of models. Robert and Amy are sold on this being totally valid as a thing that could happen. Amy does chime in. She's like, yeah, Ray, let's get you down there. Frank then asks about good-looking broads.
There it is.
5 years later, we have another someone saying broads for no reason to get a laugh that is unearned by an old audience.
There is one in here that I kind of chuckled at, and it's by Frank. He somewhat redeems himself because one of them says something like Robert's face. Oh, it's a character face. It was that. And Frank goes like, what, like Wolfman? And I was like, okay, that's a
Yeah, that's
Wolfman
pretty
joke.
good. You know, wolves are monsters.
Oh, yeah, and I have my notes here. Ray's a fucking dick.
And that is constant. If one of them succeeds, the other is not happy about it.
I still think this is defensible kind of silly stuff because it's such an absurd thing for Robert to just kind of happen across to be like, oh, I'm a model now. It's so ridiculous that it kind of makes sense that your brother would give you shit about it.
Yeah, there's a certain like the incredulousness that Ray has, I think kind of is right. It just like, and maybe this is just me being a modern snowflake, but hearing somebody, like if my brother told me I was ugly for 10 minutes straight, I would not love it.
It
Well,
feels malicious to me.
Right. That's the relationship they have, though. Your brother and
Yeah.
you don't have that sort of teasy, I'm going to call you names thing. And like we're
Right.
competing with each other and for laughs sort of thing. They kind of grew up doing that. So I don't feel like this is that big a deal for them.
Man, that's a good point. That really is a good point because they bicker a lot too. Like everybody in the show just constantly bickers.
Although really, Robert doesn't bicker back much, does he? He seems to
doubt
mostly take it.
No, Robert mostly takes it and occasionally awkwardly fights back and mostly develops a quiet, bitter resentment.
Well, so I think like these guys think this is what their
Right.
relationship is and it's fine.
Yeah,
but when
that
they're
could be.
60 and they're looking back on things, they might be like, wow, we were rough. We
Yeah.
were really rough.
There's a certain like sad fatalism to Everybody Loves Raymond.
I like doing a flash forward in time with the Everybody Loves Raymond cast.
By the
They could
way,
reboot it and do like a thing.
Brad Garrett was asked about it and he said they're not going to do it. He was like,
Darn.
yeah, he was like, well, our parents in the show have died.
Yeah.
And
It's not stopping fucking Frasier.
no, exactly.
Niles isn't even going to be on the show.
That made me like Brad Garrett more to but
Yeah.
him be like, I'm not doing that. Like we're not. So I mean, it wouldn't even be the same thing. Although I would argue, you wouldn't want it to be the same thing.
And between this show and that Yes Dear or whatever show that he's on next,
Oh my god.
he's loaded. He's like multimillionaire
Oh,
dozens
yeah.
times over. Good for him. But it's like, if you're that guy, why would you be like, oh, I'm going to do the Everybody Loves Raymond
Yeah,
thing for a
exactly.
payday?
Like who cares? He has so much money he could stack it as tall as he is.
Not
Well, I
that
would,
tall.
yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
Raymond does take little suggestion Frank mentions. He says the word broads. So Ray says, are you got any Swedish models there? Which I guess is
Right in
just,
front of his wife?
yeah, which is just a way to get Ray with Robert in our next scene going to the modeling agency.
That was my thing. His whole reason for traveling with him is to look at broads.
Yeah, to leer at other women.
This is 2004.
I would also like to meet someone from Sweden, but I don't think he wants to just meet them
Yeah.
because they're from Sweden.
I'd want to talk to them. He'd want to go,
That's exactly what he would do, too. Yeah, and this feels, having watched a bunch of these when I was younger, from my memory, this feels a little not quite in character. I feel like they needed a reason for Ray to go with Robert, so this is the reason
that's lazy.
Why on earth couldn't it have been any other reason? It could have been Marie, actually this is funnier, Marie bothering Raymond a lot more about, like, you're pretty too, and he's like, fine, I'll go with him.
Yeah, that
Or
works
whatever.
just fine.
This would have also fed into my idea that it shouldn't have been Robert that cheated. It should have been Ray, and this should have been an indication
Yeah.
of his womanizing ways, is that he wants to go look at Swedish models.
That's true.
Could have fed into it.
And reasonably, you could see Ray more as the cheating type.
Totally.
I think.
Yeah.
He's gone from home all the time.
He's aggressive, whereas Robert is not.
Yeah. Well, Ray also is not aggressive if there's conflict, though to your point,
Right.
Van, I think he would be aggressive if it was like perhaps a Swedish model would make him sexually aggressive. Swedish model, I bet you're interested in this.
That's just a Swedish chef. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
best I got.
Swedish chef's a model.
Yes, that chicken.
In his younger years.
Oh, that mustache was beautiful.
So we get to the modeling agency, and in the hallway outside of the suite that the agency's in, Ray is talking more about, like, I sure do hope that I see hot people. That's why I'm here. I hope I go wowee when I see these hot people.
The word wowee is in here.
Yeah.
Brian is not exaggerating.
No, this episode is much more lazily written than the last one. I have to say that. Thing is, when Ray and Robert enter the modeling agency, there's nothing there. It's clearly a fly-by-night operation that had taken hold of the suite. They've torn everything off the walls. All the desks are gone, no employees. And at this point, Robert realized he's been scammed in some way.
He's been had.
But he doesn't quite understand why or like what has happened to him just quite yet.
Shanghaied him.
Yeah.
So this is like the Seinfeld episode where George tries to take Jerry to the modeling place.
Yes,
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
a
Turns out
sawdust
it's a meat
factory.
packing plant or what? Yeah, it's
Only
a
that one
factory.
was funny.
Well, Seinfeld's better than Everybody
Oh.
Loves Raymond.
To reiterate, in disbelief, Robert starts walking around the suite, though, to where his pictures were taken, to Dennison's office, everywhere. He just can't figure it out. But then he spits out that he paid $1,000 for the photos that were taken to the house photographer. And the studio audience and Raymond both go, ooh.
You mean the person pushing the button?
Yeah, basically.
That's, yeah.
Which could be
The
one of those
ooh
kids.
button.
They're never in the show. I don't know.
The Sweetens.
Yeah, it could be any of the 3 Sweetens.
Which sounds like a cutesy name for like your grandkids. So I'm going to go see the Sweetens tonight.
No, it really is our name.
It'd be great if a show was so cheap they used their stars to make the laugh track sounds. Like it's
To do
actually
behind-the-scenes stuff.
It's actually it's Brad Garrett doing the laughing. Boo.
I don't like Raymond.
And then Frank too.
The other bad thing about this for Robert, other than losing the money, is he's a cop, and this is a recurring thing in the show, is Robert's very gullible and maybe isn't always the best cop because he believes the best in people, but he falls for stuff. Ray's ready to call it. He's ready to just go back home, but Robert's too scared to deal with any of that, isn't he?
Come on. Let's go home.
No, I can't. How do I face Amy? And Mom and Dad, they think I'm a model.
Nobody thinks that.
Pretty good joke.
I liked
Pretty
it.
good. I like the delivery for both guys.
Yeah.
This is finally working.
They're in a little groove for the rest of the episode. That's what I was saying is like I missed that in the first episode where when they're doing their thing together, it's actually got moments. The
What the show should be.
I do think they probably liked each other. There's some sort of sense about that you get in these, like, where people work together a million years, sometimes whether they either do or don't like each other. Like how we could see Willie Tanner didn't want to be alive.
And how he really looked like he was going to strangle the puppet.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of the opposite, where Ray Romano and Brad Garrett seem very friendly.
And plus, if Ray ever tried to struggle Brad Garrett, it's not going to go
You better
well.
be nice.
And remember, Ray Romano was 6'2".
Yeah, he's a good-sized guy. He's 6'2", 300. No, he's a slight man. After this, Robert also gradually reveals that it was actually $2,000 that I paid for these non-photos, and I'm broke. That is all of my savings. I've got nothing.
Okay, so we've got that dollar amount out there. We have to assume that's what he paid because that's the last dollar amount we hear. How is this con functional? Because they had like 12 people there.
I wrote down the
Yeah.
exact thing. You split that up, that's not that much money.
Renting
between
an
them all.
office like that, the only thing I could think is if they did it for a few days.
And got multiple people, but
Sure.
you're going to get caught so easy. And if you get caught, that's over.
And whose name is on this business license
It's
to
a really
like,
good
lease,
con
on the
for-
lease?
Only getting 2,000 out of it. Maybe they
Yeah.
just want. Maybe they're not in it for the money. They just want to break even, and it's the thrill.
Yeah, it's some sort of prankster.
Or they give it all to charity. And it's a
Yeah.
sweet thing.
Maybe it's like one of those morphin villains, just a real Piranha's Head did this.
And then they get shot with several guns. Well,
Water.
the weapons which turn into a gun.
They're fish.
Yeah. I struggle to feel empathy for people who do get conned for stuff like this. Because if I, say, went there and they were like, you can be a model, this is all great. The second they go, well, you also need to do some photographs, we'll give them to you for cheap, just $2,000.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, here's the con. It's so painfully
The thing
obvious.
is, though, you are more self-aware than the average person.
I guess.
You would be
I'm not
able
good
to
at anything,
understand. You would be able to understand, like, there's something about this that's off, and I think a lot of people want things so bad that they start making excuses right away,
That's
right off
true.
the bat.
We're all too dead inside to believe anything could
Nah.
really be good.
Yeah, true.
I remember like 10,
The
12
edges
years
are
ago.
sawed off.
But I got a call. I get a lot of shit like that now, but at that time period, I don't think I really did, and I trusted it when I got a call, but I think that was a prepaid number. Any case, I believed this thing for a little bit. When I answered my phone, I was like 25. They were telling me I won $1,000 gift card at Walmart or something. So for a little bit, I was actually going along with it. I kept my cool. It sounded professional, it sounded real, and I was pretty excited. And then it came to something about needing a credit card.
Yeah, and you
Which-
send them a little and then they refund you.
I forget what it was, but immediately as soon as it turned into that, I had this sadness just
Yeah.
wash down me, and I didn't say a word. I just hung up. That was
Mhm.
the end of the conversation right there.
My most similar thing like this was when attempting to move to Philadelphia, my friend and I were looking at all these possible rentals. It's super expensive there.
Yeah.
And there would be most of the ads that were at all reasonably priced, even if they looked super legit. You start corresponding with them and they start asking for weird information and things like that. They all have a similar scenario like, I must travel abroad for 2 years and I need a 2-year lease and I need this much up front and stuff. My wife and I are doctors. Yeah, it's just like, what? No one asked you that.
It's funny you mention that. When I was attempting to move to Mountain Grove, I won't tell that full story. I was looking at places. Mountain Grove, Missouri is a blip on the map.
A lot like Philadelphia.
Yes. There is nothing. There's a Chinese restaurant, but it also has to serve burgers and fries because that's the kind of town it is. Anyway, there was a
I've eaten there.
Craigslist post.
Is it good?
Not good.
Oh,
Not
that's
good.
too bad.
And the Craigslist post was for like some barn house that looked really beautiful. It was pretty reasonable cost. I looked into it. It was the same deal. It was a scam.
Every single time. Ugh.
I know
Scams. They get us. They get Robert.
I know they can do that pretty good with the housing industry because they could even pretend to be the realtor or whatever, meet them there, and then make this whole pitch and then say, just give me the down payment and this is yours. I will save it for you. Just have to talk to my person. And sometimes that works.
The sickest thing about it is it's like they're scamming renters, like the poorest people who need it.
Horrible.
Not the rich
Landlords
people.
are already fucking doing that. We don't need more people scamming us.
By the way, the place I mentioned wasn't a real place. I drove by it and there was nothing
Wasn't
there.
even
It was
there.
a field. Yeah, with like cows and stuff. The big, of course, scam that you hear about is, of course, Nigerian prince.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I don't get how people fall for that. When I worked at the bank, we had several courses you had to take every year to be certified in what to look for when warning elders, because elder scams are so easy. And I don't know, I guess, this sounds so bad, the generation is just dumb or unaware.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm starting to understand some of this a little better now. Now, I like to think, because I read a lot, I have a lot of creative hobbies, my brain will stay sharp, but I drift further away from social media and away from caring about technological advances as I age. And as all this AI stuff starts to take over, I see a world where I just don't know how anything works. Now, I don't
That's
think I'll
fair.
get scammed because I think I'll be hermetic.
Yeah,
But
and skeptical.
yeah. But yeah, it's kind I'm starting to see how it goes now, and people are like, "Yeah, I use chat whatever to do all of my work." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" I don't know. I don't know what anything is.
And it also, it's close, but it still sucks.
Yeah, of
like
course.
all the AI
All
stuff.
I see it as is a threat to humanity and art and everything that's beautiful
Correct.
remaining in the world, and an ode to capitalism's death knell. Or no, I'm sorry, my death knell and capitalism's triumph. Capitalism will never die. Back at Everybody Loves Raymond, Ray actually says, "Robert, I hate that you're out of this money. You know, I have a camera back at the house that's different than the one we shot all those new men with 5 years ago. It's just more of a shutter camera. And I'll take replacement photos for you. You show these to your family so they know you got your photos done. Then tell them you want to just back out of the modeling thing altogether because it's extra on top of your cop stuff. You want to be at home with your family." Very convoluted, but Robert agrees. He says, "Ray, you know what? You're a good brother." And they embrace and they leave. And I always like it when they get along. It's like a Walt and Jesse in Breaking Bad where it's not that often. So I like it when it happens.
It was sweet. I did also have a note where Robert might have wanted to point out, in this case, being a really good brother, not such a good husband, being that you're here to look at these Swedish models.
Right. Another thing is that they might think of is that their family is not stupid. They're going to know whatever Ray does is not a real, like, professional photo.
Well, that's a whole other issue. Is I guess Ray actually thinks he's pretty good at photography.
I think
apparently.
that's perfect for him, though.
I do.
There's just a little bit that I
Big
know.
fan of that development, and I didn't remember it or expect it. But
yeah, I didn't expect it either, but well done.
Hey, we've been talking for a long time. I'd like to not talk. Break time. We're going to go to Ray's basement, which is really clean and well organized. I would hang out in that thing. I'd live in it. It's a very finished basement with some trophies that Ray and not Robert won. Robert's kind of disappointed and sad that he has to do the photos at Ray's in front of a sheet.
So he takes all the trophies and throws them in the
I was
closet.
just
right?
thinking it's the perfect segue.
And then Ray goes around to everyone in the neighborhood. Have you seen my awards? Ray reminds Robert, we've got to hurry. I know you're upset about this, but everyone's going to get home and see whatever it is we're doing here. So we've got to hurry and get the photos to a 1 hour place to develop before everyone gets home. That tells you, again, this is the past. Imagine that. If you want to take a photo to see it, anything like, well, shit.
It's going to be a while.
Time to get on the horse and wagon and travel to Nebraska.
Have you guys ever been to or used the services of a 1 hour photo?
Like a long time ago, our family did stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I think like my mom would
Yeah.
go do it and I was there, but that's the most. I
Well,
haven't done it myself.
Since we've been adults, that's really been kind of outmoded, which would have been by now. So I was kind of surprised this in 2004 was a thing, but it may have been. I don't know.
Well, of course, by this time, I don't think Robin Williams had killed all those people at his, so It wasn't frowned upon as much.
Right.
I didn't watch that movie.
I
I'm assuming
did.
that's
I
what it
don't
was.
It was
remember
a few
a ton
years
about it.
before this
Okay.
episode, but yeah, right around the same time period.
Yeah, it was the early 2000s, I think. Something like that.
So they should know better then, is what
Yeah,
you're
I
saying.
know, because
man.
of 1 Hour Photo. I think we've gotten to the bottom of this.
Like, close the book on that.
Robert has been a little haughty about being a model throughout this episode because he wants something over Ray.
And quite the haughty.
Oh, yeah,
He's a model.
a haughty. He wants to be powdered. He wants to be pampered. And he's frustrated when Ray starts taking pictures before he can do a proper pose. He wants to start with his headache one. As I mentioned earlier, he's obsessed with his headache.
It's kind of
face.
like the look that Ben Stiller has in Zoolander that he's really proud of. That
Yeah.
he can't do it till the very end or whatever. I forget, Blue Steel or it's something like that.
Yeah, it has a name. And Robert doesn't name anything he's doing. Well, I guess he says Headache Guy is a character he plays.
He says, this one's the Garrett. And it just is.
I like that this scene, we wind up getting both brothers taking a creative type of profession into account for maybe the first time in their lives.
Yeah, they're
On
kinda,
accident.
They're getting to almost live out some sort of alternate world fantasy or
Yeah.
something. Like, what if we could have done something else with our lives?
Yeah, like what if we were fun people whose parents didn't beat us into the ground or something?
They
like
both seem so into it once they get
Yeah.
started too, and I really liked the energy they developed together in this scene.
It's great. They bicker at first here, but it's
Yes.
all over creative differences. Because Ray says Robert's not acting natural enough, and he starts doing what any good photographer would do. Well, first off, Brad Garrett defends himself and says, Herbert says I'm hot and I'm good at modeling. And then Ray appropriately is like, well, Herbert isn't real. Like, none of that really happened. From here on out, Robert gives himself over to the process. He puts that hangdog Brad Garrett look on. That's kind of, that's his signature. If he has one look, it's looking kind of sad that Brad Garrett does the best.
And he does actually, Ray does point that out. Like, he tells him kind of accentuate your natural sadness.
Yeah.
Don't go too far, because he gets carried away for a little bit. He's like, no, just look like you.
And Ray furthers it. He encourages it by telling Robert bad things that have happened to other family members, such as when a vending machine and moth attacked their parents.
Which is, yeah.
And whenever Ray almost got a divorce.
And the look of delight
He
on Brad
loved
Garrett's
it.
face was so good.
He loved it. And that is a real thing that happened in the show.
By
it
the
really?
way,
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was just making all that up.
Well, I don't know about the moth stuff, but the divorce thing.
Episode
near
1 had the
divorce.
moth. Yeah, of course.
So-
a moth and Frank got in a boxing fight.
This scene was like where Kramer helps George out and takes pictures for him in that
Yeah.
Seinfeld
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, and
It's
very
a little
just
too
like
much.
Kramer, Ray's very enthusiastic about this whole thing.
I mean, I don't know. If you look at those two scenes, you have to look at the one that came first and be like, oh, well, they clearly just did that.
And the one that's better. But I do
Seinfeld's
think
better. than
a
Everybody Loves
sitcom
Raymond.
doing a thing like this, I can see it just kind of happening again anyway,
Sure.
because it does seem it's what you do with it. And this isn't horrible, but the Seinfeld scene making George strip down and get in a specific pose and everything, like all is so non-George
Mm-hmm.
that it leans into the character even better. Like
He gets too into Kramer's bullshit.
Yes,
which doesn't happen
exactly.
often.
And this, the one thing I do like about it, although it's different, is neither one of them are in their comfort zone in actuality here. They're both kind of sowing their wild oats.
And they seem to be really enjoying it and
Yeah.
trying to learn this new thing together.
Like Ray's trying to get different angles. He's going around to different parts of the basement, taking different photos. Robert's moving around, doing a like quick turn sad face.
With Robert's quick movements and Ray just running all over the place and taking pictures, you can see why it would not be good. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what you don't move a lot as a photographer typically.
Yeah, it's typically not ideal. At this point, Ray wants to get some different moods, so he hits the music, which is Disco Inferno by the Tramps with 2 M's.
In the boombox he has.
Yeah.
What a product
Oh.
of the time all of this was.
I love seeing that boombox. Old like music playing equipment, I could just hug it. I can smell it. Give it.
I had this handheld radio when I was a kid. Not radio, it was a tape player. And it was like 4 kids. It just looked like a tiny briefcase, white, off-white,
Sounds
because it
cool.
yellowed. And it could just play tapes and nothing else. And all I would do is put Weird Al in it and had a speaker on top. And I'd take it to school with me. And and then people were like, Weird Al's stupid. And this is like
I got
first
told
grade.
that too.
And this is when I realized, like, I'm going to be sad from here on out.
First grade, you said?
I believe first grade. It was
Okay.
right around there.
See, I was hoping it was actually high school and you were at this
Taking my
point,
Weird Al tapes.
and you were already in the Hawaiian shirt thing.
Mhm.
So I was hoping that you were
Oh,
doing this
man.
in the Hawaiian shirt.
Full Weird Al regalia. I remember a kid telling me that Weird Al music was for babies, essentially. And I told the kid he was wrong and that Weird Al was great.
Good for you.
One of my earliest instances of getting in a pedantic music argument with someone as a small child. Although it was more polite back then. You know, it was a simpler place, the world. What are we talking about? Ray and Robert. They're dancing around. Photos are being taken. This song is playing, Disco Inferno. It's fun. You know, I like when they start, Ray starts yelling things at him to get him fired up. He yells like, "Who's the man? You got it."
I can appreciate 100% the effort they're putting into this, and I think they're having fun. This is physical goofball comedy
Yeah.
that doesn't land with me much, but I have no qualms with
It's a
this.
bit of filler.
Sure.
Except for the part where Brad Garrett unbuttons his shirt, guys, and he shows off that undershirt and tuft of tall chest hair.
Yeah.
That one's for all the Garrett files out there. And who isn't, right? So we talked about this a little. The best part about this scene, though...
Care Bears.
Those are huge. The best part about this scene for me is both of them showing genuine passion for something. They rarely
Yeah.
ever do.
They really connected here. I liked it.
It was
was
sweet.
heartwarming.
Later on, the photos are done, and I really thought they were going to get caught. I thought
Yeah.
this would culminate in the whole family walking in and looking awkwardly at them.
That would have been good, too. That could have worked.
That seemed pretty sitcom-y. Instead, we go to Deborah and Ray's kitchen, and everybody's sort of here at once at the kitchen table as all married couples and their kids and their brother and their brother's wife and their parents usually are, just any given day of the week. And Robert goes ahead and says, "Well, here they are. Here are my modeling terrifying photos."
You want to do that again?
"Well, here they are. Here are my modeling terrifying photos." And he starts spreading these photos Ray took across the table. We quickly see they're quite amateurish and blurred and out of focus and weird. The whole family is just repulsed by them, and they're like, who is this Herbert person? Like, what is this? And a lot of this worked for me. Ray immediately was like, "I don't know anything about photography, but this is the best photography I've ever seen."
And I like the response to one of them. It's like, well, his head's cut off there. It's not even close.
And Ray continues to argue with the points like Spencer just mentioned. He says that it's clear the photographer was going for something here. Open your mind. Frank then says we should just throw all the photos away, which gives Robert his opening to say, "You know what, guys? I'm stepping away from modeling. It's just not for me." And the whole family's just like, "Oh, okay, reasonable." The whole episode was about Robert becoming a model and everyone being really fired up and encouraging, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, quit it. That's fine." Didn't that seem kind of like, "Oh, we're running out of time"?
Yeah, a little bit. It just felt very sitcom-y.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
just
is best
figured
I
like
could
his
say.
wife would be like, "Oh, Robert," you know.
Yeah.
But you're right, Van. It's a
But they just
sitcom.
cave.
Who cares?
I thought it was as well done as he could have done to save face from the situation he was in. They
Sure.
kind of pulled it
Yeah.
off, I thought. It was like, all right, this could have gone worse for them.
The big realistic thing, of course, is that Raymond is losing his shit over someone
Yeah.
being mean about his photos. When he doesn't, he's not a photographer. He doesn't know.
He does everything right.
And this is one of those things. We kind of mentioned it with like my mom saying, "Oh, you're being an artist."
Yeah.
People don't understand what goes into the arts or,
Yeah, exactly.
or the work you have to put into it. So they just think, "Oh, I could do that." Or hairdressers are the same way. "Oh, I could cut hair."
People
That's not
think that
fucking
about.
easy.
They think they just listen to us on a podcast. Say, I could have a
Yeah,
podcast.
Mhm.
that's what they think. You son of a bitch.
You couldn't do a podcast.
Someone did share on one of the Reddit ER. It was the ER Reddit board, which I'm still a part of. They shared a thing like, "Hey,
I love
we're
that
doing
you're
a
still on that.
podcast. Oh yeah, we're doing a new podcast where we review '90s TV shows, and we touched an ER." And I just want to be like, "You are the villains. We are the TV podcast.
You should have said, we've already covered it. There's no need. Like,
Yeah.
we
got
did it.
this."
Yeah, why do what's already been done better, you know? You don't see me out there trying to dunk. There's a lot of guys who do that better than I could do it.
Oh, which is why I killed him with a helicopter.
I consider what we're doing right now a form of audio dunk.
Pretty much.
Yeah. We have posterized WTF and Pod Save America,
They are still around. Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Deborah says these photos look like a monkey took them. No wonder Robert doesn't want to be involved with these people. Ray is real offended now. He gathers up all the photos hurriedly on the table and says, "This is all of your fault. You're all too negative. This is why Robert's quitting." And Robert quickly is like, no. What he wants to say is, no, Raymond, we have a plan. I'm trying to quit here. You're going to get me in trouble. I lost all of our savings, which I'm going to lie to my wife about, apparently.
Yeah, they don't even resolve that
No.
with it.
No. Ray blames everyone, and then I like this too. He blames Robert also because not understanding the art of the photos, and then says he's leaving to show some sports people he knows who know about modeling, his photography, and probably my favorite part, tells them to enjoy suburbia where everything is in focus and no one's head is cut off.
I believe he says, enjoy your suburban suburbia.
Yeah.
I think he repeats it like that. It's so absurd when he says it.
And he seems pretty flustered here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he could have done this the 5 years prior. Like this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Once Ray's gone and left with the others, Robert just says, I guess Raymond really believes in me, to explain away what we just saw. And we cut to credits, but this isn't exactly normal credits. We hear Disco Inferno, and we get bonus footage. The 5 minutes earlier wasn't enough of Ray and Robert prancing around doing their photos and yelling stuff, and the audience laughing a lot, and that's interspersed with the still shots.
And they are bad photographs.
They are really bad.
That's a good touch.
I like that they went to the trouble to do bad on purpose here. So then we get the actual credits. You hear the little piano tinkling, and now everybody's done with Raymond. So we're in the part now where we talk about how we feel about both episodes, about the show in general.
Well, I don't think Van made it very clear how he feels about it yet.
I'll go ahead and start off here by, I think I like how they made an effort to try some ambitious stuff in the first episode. I think the acting is good, I think, by and large, and I like some of the easy chemistry we saw in the second episode.
That's probably my favorite part of either one, actually.
Yeah. They had an easy chemistry, and I did feel like Doris Roberts and Peter Boyle had their own kind of acting chemistry also.
Well, they should have just separated from the cast and done like a play.
Yeah.
They should have been on stage. They should have done that shit.
They really did incredible work, and you know what? Ray and Brad Garrett were pretty good there too. But overall, I keep coming back to this. The show wants to be too many things at once sometimes, and while I like that ambition, it keeps it more interesting than it should be. It's not funny enough. Like for me, for what I'm wanting out of a sitcom, it does feel like it's a show made for older people. And I don't mean older people like more mature. I mean older like, what are the grandkids doing right now?
Yeah.
You know, I'm making a macrame hat.
What old people do.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, it just felt kind of like this is a 90s family sitcom. I understand there are some differences, but it doesn't, to me, stand out from the pack a whole lot.
I'm kind of torn on this because...
You're torn?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't like it, but that's painfully obvious. The problem is the second episode felt more like what I thought this show was. They're gags, it's fun, whimsy, whatever. It's not necessarily for me, but that's a show that if I'm sitting on my phone playing around and it's in the background and I catch a joke, okay, it's funny, it's fine. I won't have any bad thoughts about it. The first episode, I don't like that they tried to do the weird stuff because they failed so spectacularly at it. But also, wouldn't I say more often than not, oh, this boring ass regular comedy
Yeah.
would be great if they tried
This is
something.
the exact thing that I was struggling with, because it's like, I really do respect the attempt, and out of context, that 10 minutes is good. Or parts of it, not the ending with the face pushing. But like the actual argument part of that scene in that children's show, which I was amused by Mr. Pickles' wedges of veggies or whatever.
He's got pickles for toes and a rutabaga nose.
I can't believe I forgot what he looks like. But
A melon under
the
there.
problem is the context. It's shoved into this episode that starts out by just showing you a bunch of nude men, you know?
So I don't know. Overall, I didn't like it. I thought I might like it more than I do. I remember mentioning when you brought up the show, I was like, is it funny? And I think it could be, because ultimately the overall encompassing thing I could say about this show is the sum of its parts is far worse than the parts themselves. We like the actors. There are bits. There are some good things. But the total package is kind of just whatever.
This is in a lot of ways like a smaller scale version of when you see a good cast in a movie, you know, and you're like, I like all these actors. And you watch it. And you come across like these people don't seem like they're allowed to do what they need to be able to be allowed to do.
Mm-hmm. And Brad Garrett in particular, I like his comedic chops. I think
good
if
timing.
If he had a good writers behind him, I think he'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that show he's in after that. Maybe it's great, but I don't know. I don't know how anyone could in 1997 or whatever look at Ray Romano and go, I'm going to build a show around that. I just don't get it. He's the weakest of all of them.
I think, and I mentioned later, I liked what he's done as a character actor. That's, to me, what he probably should have been, is kind of like a laconic person in a show, not the lead.
That would mean it probably couldn't have happened then, because who would be the lead character in this show if
Well, yeah.
if he's not it?
You couldn't have it be called
Couldn't build it
Everybody
around
Loves
Brad.
Raymond.
Couldn't build it around Brad Garrett.
One of those kids. That's fine.
Yeah.
They're like 3 or whatever. I don't know.
Who else?
Sweetens.
The Sweetlings.
Who else was a comedian then? Like Daniel Stern, and Everybody Loves Daniel Stern. I don't know.
That sounds awful. Oh, wait, Daniel Stern. I was thinking Howard Stern. No,
Ugh.
Daniel Stern, I'd watch the shit out of
Yeah,
that. Plus, he's tall like Brad Garrett.
Yeah, and he'd be all the time be like, let's watch Bushwhacked for no reason. And everybody'd be like, what a weird thing to say in this CBS show.
He'd have to step on a bunch of traps.
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin set.
But Brian thinks when he's got people over, he's like, I'm going to make him watch Bushwhacked, not Home
Yeah.
Improvement? Home Alone.
Alone. Yeah.
I ate, this is so great that I get to say this. I ate at a shawarma restaurant in
Oh,
St.
that's
Louis
good.
before going to a concert. And at this weird little independent restaurant, on like a big projector on the wall, they were showing Bushwhacked. I took a
What?
photo of it
That
that I
is
still
amazing.
have. Because why would that be the movie you're showing in 2015 or whatever?
Who else is in that? It's him. He doesn't have a Danny. No,
That's
Danny
all I
DeVito.
really remember. And
Yeah, I
him
don't know.
him being like, whoa, 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 and tripping a lot. Kind of like in Home Alone.
But not Chud.
Yeah. Spencer, do you have anything to add to this Raymond discussion?
You guys think that was a laugh track?
I still think it was one hell of a laugh track.
No, it was exactly what I expected it to be. So I didn't have a whole lot emotionally invested, and it couldn't hurt me for what it didn't do.
Couldn't hurt.
I was fine. I knew what it would be. Empty laughs here and there, not a whole lot of substance, and capable actors with boring recycled plot lines. So that's what it was. And it had its moments.
And you know, Brian, you mentioned that they did try to do deeper moments from
Yeah.
time to time. I always keep forgetting that Robert's a cop. So did they ever have an episode where, I don't know, the whole table's gathered around for Thanksgiving and they talking about crime statistics?
Well, they could get it real dark with that if
Yeah,
they wanted to.
And then Robert's like, well, you can't believe those crime statistics. In fact, most of the time with rapes, it's just these women having second thoughts or, you know, buyer's remorse, which is a real thing a cop around here has said to me.
Oh, that's
Buyer's
disgusting.
remorse.
Yeah, and then Robert's like, I just bought a Blue Lives Matter bumper sticker for my car.
Or like he fires tear gas into a group of protesters.
into the Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. Or he's got like it's from the perspective of his body cam and he turns it off, but you can still hear the audio and it's him like bludgeoning some non-white person.
Ooh.
This is the dark maybe it's good they had Ray Romano be on it actually, because this is what might have happened
If
otherwise.
he was the star.
Yeah.
ACAB, boys. ACAB.
All cops are Brad Garrett.
Oh, wow.
Before we get out of here, all the people in the show have something wrong with them in the central cast.
Yes.
These characters. We've done some in our bonus feed. We've done some Dear Prudence letters where we read those and responded to them with our advice. We're going to do Barone family therapy briefly here
boy.
for a moment. We're going to start with the series lead, Raymond Barone. What does this guy need to do to be happy in his life? What does he need to do to become a better person? What's wrong with him, guys?
He needs to probably cut himself off from a shitty father. That would be a big thing.
Step one.
His dad's got to be instilling a whole lot of negative values in him. And I mean, a lot of it's kind of too late. Like that's happened for all 40 years of his life.
Yeah,
or
there's an
whatever.
ingrained sadness that can't be taken away now. It's
But
in his blood.
I would definitely distance myself as much as I could from that guy. Step one.
Obviously, therapy is a good choice here. I think there's a lot of latent anger and jealousy there because anytime something good happens to Robert, he has to
Yeah.
be mean. Anytime something, blah, blah, blah. So I think he needs an outlet. So I think a therapist might say to him, you know, get a hobby that you can
How about
exert
photography?
yourself. Like photography. You're out there on that mountain, just taking pictures of birds or shovels, whatever goes on in mountains. You could be a boxer. I don't know.
Sure, yeah, something physical. Maybe he could join that lodge and sweat it out with the old men.
Good idea.
Yeah,
I-
they liked him.
No,
think,
if we're saying don't be around the dad, don't be around them either.
well, his
Yeah.
dad left the lodge. It's fine. He can
Oh.
have it for him now. He can
He-
inherit it.
He can go hug Bullethead in the sauna.
So I think he should also focus on the good things in his life, like the fact that he has apparently quite a nice wife and a lovely family. He should be grateful for that and focus on the positives. And
Got a real
I
clean
don't-
basement.
I don't know why he has to feel so nasty and petty when he seems to be doing okay. He's fine.
He's a sports writer. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's got a good
Mhm.
life.
And his dad still doesn't care. That's the thing. That's why Frank's got to go.
So
you
it's a
can never
daddy
earn
thing.
that love. Yeah,
Yeah.
for both of them. It really is, which brings us to Robert. What can you do to fix Robert? Would you
Get a new career.
cut a few feet off? What would you do?
Career's a good idea. Separate from the dad. Necromancy. That sort of thing. You'll be in good shape.
I think lean into that softer side. That's
Soft
Robert's
is in
thing.
like bodies that have died that you've then resurrected via necromancy.
Right. What did you
Okay,
think?
just make sure we're on the same page
Of
here.
course, of course. But yeah, Robert should realize it's not bad to believe people, to like have a good heart. Just don't be a cop, you know?
Be a social worker.
He'd be great at it. Biggest one he ever saw.
And people wouldn't like give him shit because they'd be afraid he would smash them with a boulder or something like an orc.
So
He's big.
with Deborah, we can all agree it's time to get a divorce and full custody, probably.
She needs some confidence. That's
Yeah.
what she needs. She needs to get that divorce, get to the bar, and one of these 22-year-old college kids going to flirt with her.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Now she's got all the confidence in the world. She knows she's sexy. She's successful. Good to
So
go.
she's been with Frank her whole adult life, pretty much.
She's never been with Frank.
Deborah, the wife.
Oh, I was thinking we were talking about the mom.
Although that would have been an episode.
Ooh, boy. Freud's having a day with that.
Yeah, I don't know the character names very well.
There's an episode where they
barely
do a
know them.
flashback of like all these shows that this era did it. I know King of Queens did, where they do a flashback to when Ray and Deborah met, and it's like you guys are 37.
That's what, this whole time I was wondering why you wanted a college kid to hit on Ray's mom. Well, because like in my head we were talking about his
Oh,
mom.
yes.
You're like
Yeah.
she just needs a 22-year-old to go after her. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's fine.
He'll give her a new
I mean,
face
I don't.
mask.
It could happen.
Oh, Brian Vaughn.
Yeah, Ray's wife. Honestly, it could totally. He might even be able to turn it around enough to where she doesn't have to divorce him. Now, Frank, that needs
That's
to be
done.
a divorce.
Yeah.
So Frank and Marie, what are we doing with them?
Divorce.
Frank needs to probably pass
Frank
away.
needs to
10
jump
feet in the
off a
ground.
cliff somewhere.
Mhm.
He needs to leave everyone. He's ruined everyone's life. He's an awful person.
He needs to get back to hosting Monday Night Football and stay away from his family.
Winning Super Bowls with the Steelers in the 70s.
Marie just needs, again, it's kind of a confidence thing. She needs to know that she'll be fine without him.
Yeah.
And if she knew that, she can move on.
And she needs to be able to do some other things too, like understand that her sons are grown individuals and that Deborah's not like her.
Correct.
Not everybody's going to be just like you, Marie.
Hit down that bar, find yourself a 22-year-old college boy.
Absolutely.
That's the solution for any woman's
Robert?
problem. Go fuck you a college boy.
or necromancy. So I think we've solved all of the Barone family's issues.
Pretty
now.
easily too.
But wait, there's more.
What?
I have some more YouTube comments.
Wait,
Let's do a couple here.
Did Dawn Pierce say anything?
Sadly, no Dawn
Shit.
Pierce return. One of these days she will,
I
because
think
I'm
we're going to-
stalking this poor
If
woman.
we say her name enough, she will appear.
It's like a seance, except she's alive.
Or
Oh, sure
the
she's
Candy
alive.
Man? Dawn Pierce, Dawn Pierce, Dawn Pierce. Do I need a mirror?
All right, HLK, the heart
Martin
lick
Luther
kid,
King.
says, I have seen every single episode at least 3 times.
Oh my god.
And they never get old. Absolute all-time favorite show with amazing cast members. Heart, heart, heart,
That
heart.
means he's watched 600 episodes of Everybody Loves
That
Raymond.
is absurd.
I would have never guessed it was anyone's favorite show.
What football team did you just bring up?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Steelers fan 72-38, so it's probably
Right, Terry
Frank.
Bradshaw.
or
I am
Terry
Frank.
Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw's like, that guy looks like me.
They say, this is my favorite episode of the entire series.
Oh,
Non-stop laughs.
I guess you picked a good one, Brian. Best episode of the series.
I'm sad to hear that it is.
Shootin' It Podcast. Shootin' It Podcast.
Oh, tell them we've already covered it. Don't worry about it.
Why are these other podcasts still out there?
Why do they exist?
Yeah.
They say, maybe I'm getting crotchety in my old age of 29,
Ugh.
but they just don't make sitcoms like this anymore.
Thankfully.
Here's the thing. That comment was from 10 years ago.
Oh, so he's our
Oh.
age.
Yeah, he's now 39, and people are still commenting saying, yeah, they don't make good TV shows like this anymore. And that annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like to just say as a blanket statement now, if anyone out there tells you they don't make good blank form of art anymore, that person doesn't care enough about it to seek out anything that's good.
In fact, Gabriel Coronado says, Shootin' It Podcast, referring to their comment, you are right. Check the Jack Benny program. He was the pioneer and master.
What the fuck is this? Nobody does good paintings anymore. Go to those caves and see what people scratched into the wall. It's the best anybody was able to do.
What is Jack
Fucking
Benny?
Jack Benny.
It's like one of those old ass
Yeah,
shows.
he had
right?
like a variety. He was very famous in probably like 1735.
All right. Well, Gabriel Coronado isn't done. He has his own master comment here. He says, Frasier, Seinfeld, Raymond, and Friends, the funniest and best shows ever.
What did
So he thinks it's called Raymond and Friends.
Man.
Oh, I thought he was saying
Raymond
and
and
Friends,
Friends.
the show Friends, and he was
Oh,
saying,
that makes way more sense. No Oxford comma. So I
Raymond
was
and
confused.
huh, you might be right though. It could be that he really calls
no,
it that.
Raymond and Friends is the thing after Garfield
That no one watches.
with the pig.
That is a bizarre grouping. If it's Friends, Everyone Loves Raymond. I keep saying everyone and not everybody, but who cares? And then Seinfeld, and what was the first one? Frasier?
Frasier.
What a bizarre group
This
of four.
is the shit that always happens, and I hate it. It's why I don't even like saying I like Seinfeld to younger people, because they're like Friends, or like, you know, just a series of shows that I either don't like or they're not similar. It's the same reason why after Rage Against the Machine, no one should have rapped and rocked at the same time again.
But Linkin Park is so good at it, Brian.
That's the problem. All that lumping, you know, and then, yeah.
Here I am rapping in the song. I'm Linkin Park.
R.I.P.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Shit. Nathan commented on Gabriel Coronado's.
Oh, Nathan, what's he up to?
Nathan says he has two other good shows he wants to compare to Frasier, Seinfeld, Raymond, and Friends.
After MASH.
He says, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Sure,
Great show.
right
We
in
like
there,
that, right?
right
Yeah,
in there with the rest of them.
Everybody Loves Raymond is clearly highly improv.
And King of Queens.
That's just
Ooh.
like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like doppelganger shows,
They're
honestly.
twins, yeah.
But wait, Gabriel Coronado's not done. He wants to comment on what Nathan said. So he says, Nathan, you were right. And hey, what about Get Smart and Jack Benny from the past?
What
Wow.
about the home videos my grandparents made? Finest thing ever committed to celluloid.
Someone else says something about home improvement. That's on there. But last comment here. This one comes from Solitary Surreal. They say,
That's a moody teen.
Tywin Lannister was a man of calculating, callous logic.
And
What are we bringing
so
Charles
is-
Dance up
And
for?
so is Frank, or where's this going?
Thanos believed in perfect balance, even if it had to be coerced. Palpatine carefully and expertly manipulated everything and everyone around him. Marie Barone was worse than all of them.
Wow, that's what they took.
That's it. That's
That seems kind of harsh.
I mean, if it ended with Frank,
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going
I
to say
would've bought it.
Frank.
yeah, I believe it at that
Nope,
point.
Marie.
Wow, so we're done with Everybody Loves Raymond. Next week, it's time for some other TV show.
But wait, there's more. We're not doing that, right, Brian?
This is a TV show podcast.
Not anymore.
Wait. You mean we can just do whatever we want?
We are the lords of Bootu Inc. We can do whatever we choose.
So would you say we're transforming from boob-tube boys into motion picture men?
Oh man, I didn't have a word for it or a turn of phrase, but that I'm buying in on that. I think Johnny Radical had one. It was like silver screen scraps. I don't remember.
Yeah, I thought about one of those two. Silver Screen Suns was one I thought about.
What about studs?
But SSS has the Nazi connotation, and I was
shit.
like, I don't like
yeah,
that.
that's bad.
If there's anything about us, we're Nazis.
We don't like Nazis.
Gonna
Well-
isolate that, and if you ever betray the podcast, we'll put it out there.
Yeah, you could just have an AI make him say it though. Now you don't have to get an actual clip.
You know who we can't make an AI talk as? Fucking Brian.
Yep,
the
can't
AI
be done.
cannot figure
He
out his
defies
voice.
the
Does not
algorithm.
know how to do it.
It goes too like squeaky and girl-like,
Mhm.
or it will go the other way and sound, I don't know, like
The one
something
you
completely
sent
different.
me did not sound like anyone
Right.
sounds.
No,
yeah.
It's
it
bad.
can't figure my cadence thing either. Like, it's weird.
It's
it
rough
doesn't.
with cadence.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're doing something different. We're going to talk movies. We've each decided to take one of our favorite, I guess we'll say bad movies. I don't know, maybe. You guys might have picked something
okay.
else.
Let's on the air discuss this. Are there any parameters? Can we choose any movie we want to
I
talk
think
about?
it needs to be our bad movies.
Okay, so we do have to choose.
You know what? Fuck it. I don't care what you guys do. I will
Okay.
do my bad movie.
Okay. So we each are going to choose a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're going first.
I'm going first. So what we're going to do is divide the movie up in two. For episode 1 will be first half of the movie. Episode 2 will be the second half. Here's the thing. I have been torn between two movies. You two are going to decide by means of a random round of, what the hell's the game we play with baseball?
Triple
Slash.
This is a very unusual development to happen.
This just popped in my head. I was going to have you do something. I didn't know what. Decided triple slash the last minute.
Were you going to have us have a photo session, a modeling session?
later.
Oh.
Why don't you explain the rules of Triple Slash? Why pick a player?
Yeah, so Triple Slash is a game where Spencer and I will each be presented with a baseball player, the same baseball player. We'll try to attempt to guess his Triple Slash line for his career. That's batting average, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage. If you get within 10 points, you get a point. If you get the number dead on, you get 2 points. Whoever has the most points wins.
All right, well, if you remember the last time we did this several weeks ago, I picked a player named Steve by random.
Yeah.
I've chosen to do the same. And this time, instead of Steve Sachs, we're going with Steve Garvey.
Oh, wow. Another Dodger. Wasn't Steve Sachs a Dodger?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Steve Garvey.
But also
definitely was.
Padre for Garvey. And this is obviously a long time ago. He played in the 70s or whatever, 80s. So I don't know. Do your best. Spencer, we're going to let you
I'll
go second.
first. Well, I
You wanna
went,
go
I went
for-
second
you
last time,
choose.
so I'll go first this
Okay.
time.
Spencer's up first. Guess the Triple Slash line for Steve Garvey.
Ooh, okay. I know he had some power, but we're talking a different era. So I'm going to say you didn't really hit for average, but I don't know. I'm going to say like 254. And then, Steve Garvey, did you walk?
He's here now.
Hello, I'm probably ancient if I'm still alive.
Let's say like 318.
74 is his age, by the way.
Still kicking.
And for slugging, yeah, I'm going to go 443.
443. All right, Brian, you're up next. What do you think Steve Garvey's Triple Slash
like
line
a
is?
kind of a moderate average guy, doubles guy, but I don't really know. I'm going to say 277, 331, 452.
Well, we do have a distinct winner. 2 points to 1 point. Brian Vaughn is the winner.
What did I get right?
You go. I'm sorry, I'm trying to work in my head how you choose the movie. Because this
Oh.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we didn't really think that part through. I'll just tell you what to do.
Okay. 277 was batting average for you, 254 for Spencer. Batting average is 294.
Oh,
You both
man,
missed
he
it.
got
Oh, my
really up there
God.
for average.
Let's see. Spencer, we'll start with you first since you went first. 318 OBP. Brian said 331. It's 329. So Brian
he
got a
didn't
point
really
there.
walk.
So he really didn't walk at all.
Mm-mm.
Hit for a lot of average.
And then slugging, Spencer said 443. Brian said 452. You were around him. It was 446. So you both got that point as well.
Wow.
So Brian wins. So, all right, pick Final Sacrifice or Road to Revenge.
All right. Well, our next 2 episodes, we're going to talk about the 1993 movie Road to Revenge or Get Even.
Okay, now here's the thing. This thing is hard to find like a true description of because it's
But-
not
but
like a
if-
real movie.
It's also hard to find, but if you
on
find it,
YouTube. Check it out there. So I don't really have a synopsis of this. I guess we can just come up with it. We've all seen it many times. So basically, the story is about this guy named Bodie who's good at things.
Friends with Wings Hauser.
Friends with Wings Hauser. He's the best at everything. But anyway, he's doing a drug bust with his buddies, Wings Hauser and Normad, who's John Smith or something.
Will Smith.
That's actually correct. Anyway, the drug bust goes bad. They lose their jobs. Will Smith, Normad, becomes a judge. And somehow the Brody's girlfriend dies, who just showed back up,
Yeah.
or we think dies.
There's an
And there's a road
extended
to revenge.
musical scene.
Several.
Nudity.
There's a lot of nudity.
A little bit of everything.
A Playboy Playmate.
Limousines. I mean, if you want it, this movie's got it.
True.
Great music.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We've all seen this multiple times. It is I don't know how to say it any better. It's a real hoot.
It certainly is, and it's going to be a lot of fun to cover. I'm curious to see what you guys pick, but we'll wait a couple weeks before we find that out.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while. So yeah, we'll be back to talk about movies for a round of selections, and we're very excited about it. Well, you know what? We're going to do all sorts of stuff. We're veterans, as I mentioned earlier. We've done like 400 of these now.
We get discounts at various eateries for being
People
veterans.
recognize us
This
when
is
we're
going
out.
upwards like Robert with his money that he spent on that scam. It's
Yep.
just getting higher every time.
Exactly.
We've done 1,000 episodes.
So for Van, for Spencer, this has been the 500th episode of Bootu Boys. I've been Brian. Don't forget, everybody loves Bootu Boys.